Body, thanks for being here. Welcome. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Sorry about that. I have the Twitch chat up on my phone as well and didn't have it on mute. Anyway, hi everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for joining me as I, torture myself to try and make a functioning fucking economy in this world. Again, I don't know why I'm doing this to well, I know why I'm doing this to myself. I really holy fuck! You're my friend! Yeah! Oh my... Sorry. For those of you watching this video on YouTube, I recently got Twitch affiliate, last week. After I streamed, and my good friend Ben here has just become my first Twitch sub. Oh man, I gotta shit. You know what? I gotta set up a thing so a thing happens when people sub. Oh my god, but Ben, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh man. But yeah, okay. I can't remember what made me want to do this because I've been thinking about a D&D economy for ages. I even did a podcast episode about it over on BJ Talks. It was season 1, episode 10, Economics in D&D part 1, where I had a friend. Callum, thanks for subscribing. My first 2 subscribers. Oh my god. Where I had a friend join us. 2 subs now. I'm sorry. Where I had a friend join us and another friend who was an econ professor. I appreciate it, both of y'all. And I've been meaning to bring them back onto the podcast to talk about it, but I was like, I'm not bringing them on until I've made my functioning 5e economy so I can give it to them to look at, and then we can talk about it, right? Because, like I said, I want to make a functioning economy because the math just ain't mathin' when it comes to D&D 5e stuff, and it pisses me off so much. One of the most egregious things, actually, before we get started, let me jump over to this real quick. We're gonna go. Are we on armor? We're gonna go to armor real quick, right? And I'm gonna tell you what frustrates me so much about this. Let's see. 1 second. Projector. It's not a fun time. I'm okay. Saying it's not a fun time is exaggerating because while I hate numbers, the thing, when I talked to these 2 people about how to make a functioning economy, the thing that I got about it was that you gotta make it about the people. So even if I get all of the numbers done and stuff, you're getting to join a D&D campaign for the first time, Callum? Oh, that's great. Hi. Oh, hey. Welcome. Oh, new friends, new people in my chat. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've gotten to join a new, fuck me, where are my words? A D&D campaign for the first time, and I do actually hope my ramblings and fumbling around with a D&D economy does really get you in the mood. But let me show you what pisses me off about this economy, right? So, okay. Here we have just the one thing, right? Splint Mail is a 17 AC, right? 200 gold pieces. And then you go to Plate Mail, which is an 18, which is just a +1, and then you jump to 1,500 gold pieces. 1,300 gold piece different. It makes no fucking sense. I get it's probably a holdover. I know it's definitely a holdover from previous editions, but I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Isn't this it's a wild time. It frustrates me, and that's why I want to do something different. And because to go back to the actual prep that I was doing, right? Okay, so to actually dive into this, so the first thing you need to know is that I've gotten a bunch of actually the first thing you need to know is that in order to make this work, I bought this. The price of bread There's multiple parts over on the DMs Guild, and this is one of many books' attempts to make a functioning economy. And the way this person who was making it built it out was to make it built around like the cost of standard food goods that people were going to need to eat to survive. And so, as part of the podcast episode that we did with this, I also just I read all of the parts, made a bunch of cliff notes, sent it over to them, did the math, tried to make everything work, and it mostly worked, right? I haven't put it to the test. I guess, what is the mechanical worth of an item versus realistic worth of items, material, and workmanship? Yeah, it's... Yeah, and that's what this series of making a functioning economy, because we're not going to get this done in one day, is going to be about. Like, how are we balancing these things out, right? But to start off with, there are different ways that people can like balance an economy. You could balance it around weapons, but I'm very pro balancing it around, making it around food, because everybody has to eat. Not everybody's gonna need a sword. And so let's just go over some like common conceits here, like just to stay on. These are all of the costs that I am saying, like, this is how much stuff just officially costs. A pound of white wheat, a pound of brown wheat, 1 gallon of water, a pound of wheat bread, a pound of white bread, all of that stuff, like I said, I distilled these numbers from The Price of Bread, parts 1 through 4. I think there's 4 parts. And there is like one little thing that I did slightly edit. So a pound of cheese was actually 15 copper pieces, but then when I tried to break it up for a variety of things, I kept having to round up. So I was just like, let's just make it 16, so it's an even 4, 8, 12. So like you can break it into 4 parts, 1/4 pound of cheese, and it's just 4 copper pieces, right? The next thing we're gonna look at real quick before we get down to like making the math work is lifestyle expenses. So in D&D 5e, there are 7 lifestyle expenses in the DM's Guild. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, or actually it's in the Player's Handbook. I misspoke. There's Wretched, which doesn't have an actual original price per day. There's Squalid, which is 1 silver piece. Poor, 2 silver piece. Modest, 1 gold piece. What if it's nicer cheese? That is a really great question. So unless it's like explicitly stated, if it's cheese, if it's like, for example, there's white bread and wheat bread, and then there's milk and almond milk listed here. Unless it's like stated, this is just like kind of your standard item, right? Just a standard thing of cheese, a standard haunch of meat, that kind of thing. So if you wanted to make like really fancy fuck off cheese, you can, but the standard cost of cheese is the standard kind of cheese. Its cost is going to be 16 copper pieces a pound. And then so you get the modest lifestyle, which is 1 gold piece, and then you get the wealthy, you get the comfortable, which is 2 gold pieces, the wealthy, which is 4 gold pieces, and aristocratic, which is 10 gold pieces minimum. Now, just to go over these real quick, wretched, you live in inhumane conditions with no place to call home. You shelter wherever you can, sneaking into barns, huddling in old crates, and relying on the good graces of people better off than you. Whatever cheese is this, I think if you're trying to figure out what the standard cheese is, that's going to be for you to decide. I don't know. You know what? The first thing that came to mind when I thought standard cheese, it was cottage cheese, but I know that's not accurate in my setting. So I don't know what to tell you right off the top of my head, but when this is done, I'm going to write it all up. I'm going to make it look all nice and fancy and shit, and I'll put it on, I don't know. I'll put it somewhere for free since I'm using a lot of resources from different people. Like it's not mine to sell to people. Like, here, have it. And there'll be a section of different types of cheeses that can be your standard cheese, just for you, Callum. Then you have Squalid. You live in a leaky stable, a mud-floored hut just outside of town, or a vermin-infested boarding house in the worst part of town. You have shelter from the elements, but you live in a desperate and often violent environment. There's Poor. I don't want to think about it. Me personally, don't like cottage cheese, but it was the first thing. Well, I take that back. I like cottage cheese in some equations. Mozzarella was probably the standard cheese because of how easy it is to make. I'm going to do more research on cheese. So a modest lifestyle keeps you out of the slums and ensures that you can maintain your equipment. You live in an older part of town, renting a room in a boarding house, inn, or temple. You don't go hungry or thirsty, and your living conditions are clean, if simple. Comfortable. Choosing a comfortable lifestyle means that you can afford nicer clothing and can easily maintain your equipment. You live in a small cottage in a middle class neighborhood or in a private room at a fine inn. Wealthy. Choosing a wealthy lifestyle means living a life of luxury. Although you might not have achieved the social status associated with old money of nobility or royalty, you live in a lifestyle comparable to that of a highly successful merchant, a favorite servant of the royalty, or the owner of a few small businesses. You just need some milk and culture, and you can make mozzarella. It's the most simple cheese, huh? I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, mozzarella cheese is the standard cheese in my setting at this point. I love me some mozzarella cheese. And then aristocratic. You live a life of plenty and comfort. You move in circles populated by the most powerful in the community. You have excellent lodgings, perhaps a townhouse in the nicest part of town, or rooms in the finest inn. And then hirelings, right? So there's two types of hirelings in D&D. They're skilled hirelings. So this includes anyone hired to perform a service that involves a proficiency, including weapon, tool, or skill. So a mercenary, an artisan, a scribe. And they get paid 2 gold pieces per day. And then you have the untrained hirelings, which get paid 2 silver pieces per day. So if you were paying someone to carry your bags or something, like those would be unskilled workers type of thing. I do think there needs to be more examples of what constitutes an untrained hireling, because there'd probably be a lot of them, but everything off the top of my head, I'm like, that's probably a skilled hireling. But okay, now that we've gone over that, we've gone over those parts, right? We're gonna have to come back and talk about those in a little bit, but let's talk about making the math work. So first things first, here are some general conceits. The average person needs to eat 1 pound of food a day and drink roughly 4 liters of water per day. And so pulling from the if I was playing an artificer in one of your games, could I make a custom subclass, the cheesemonger? This is from Basic Human Kindness, who is in one of my Start Playing That games on every other Saturday. Does caring require you to be proficient in something though? You know what? I wouldn't not allow somebody to be a cheesemonger. I just don't know why it would be artificer. You'd have to sell me on which class that subclass would be, but I'm not against it. Okay, so your carrying capacity, Callum has said something interesting. I don't know, carrying is a skill, like mechanically in D&D. So okay, so carrying capacity in 5e is based on your strength modifier. It's 15 times whatever your strength is, right? Carrying capacity, how much weight you can carry, drag, lift is all based on your strength modifier. I do believe, okay, let's read this whole thing. I don't know, carrying is a skill, like mechanically in D&D. If you want to lift an item, you roll to see if you can, right? Okay, so I know that there are a lot of DMs that if you wanted to lift something, they would ask you for an athletics check, which perfectly within their purview. No. I'm super happy to explain this. Super happy. Part of why I like doing prep with y'all is just answering questions. And hold on a second. Okay, so part of rules as written, you can drag, lift, and carry 15 times your strength modifier. So, okay, and athletics, so even in my early days as a DM, when I wasn't as like knowledgeable as I should have been when I was running it, when somebody wanted to lift something, I'd ask them for an athletics check. However, if you go and look at what the actual athletic skill is, your strength athletics check covers difficult situations you encounter while climbing, jumping, or swimming. So to lift, if in general, if you were just like walking around and lifting, carrying, or dragging something, you wouldn't need a check if it was within your strength score. So if I have a 10 in strength, I can lift, carry, and drag 150 pounds according to Raw. If I'm trying to lift and carry something in like while climbing, jumping, or swimming, you should ask for an athletic check at that point. But just being able to lift, carry, and drag things doesn't require anything outside of knowing how much you can actually carry. But some DMs don't run it like that. But Raw, that's how that actually works. So somebody who is just carrying along your items and stuff would count as an untrained hireling according to the hireling rules in 5e. I guess I'm more coming at it from the perspective of the idea of skilled and non-skilled work is a class thing, right? Like the way we define work and who fits those categories is a classist view. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I don't think there's any like in a real modern day context, I don't think there's any like, well, one, it's a classist view, period. There is a lot of classism in the system of D&D, like no way to get around that, along with a lot of other things. Like in the real world, there's no unskilled labor. There's no such thing as unskilled labor. Everything requires some amount of skill. For the purposes of this, we're going to pretend like there is unskilled labor. But so to get back to the general conceits, right? So the average person needs to eat half a pound of food a day and drink roughly 4 liters of water per day. And so because of that, I went ahead and broke down 4 options of what people could eat, like on your standard kind of day, right? So, and again, the way I want to start off this economy is very much like what a standard person living day to day might be trying to buy and eat. So the first option is D&D party goes bankrupt, refusing to pay untrained prices. So option 1 is 1 pound of wheat and 4 liters of water, which would equal 9 copper pieces if you go by the math, right? Because a pound of wheat bread costs. This isn't based on the adventurers, right? Because the bulk of your world, Ben said, this seems like very little food for someone adventuring. Totally agree. I'm imagining adventurers being like probably needing the caloric intake that you get from athletes and stuff. This is very much for like standard people, not the adventurers. Actually, before I continue any further on this, let me tell you this idea I had, right? I think that there should be 2 to 3 kind of economies going on, right? So you've got the standard one, which actually, hold on. One second, y'all. I think I can actually pull this up right now. Different economies. Let's pull that up right now, and we're gonna switch screens real quick. Reference while it loads, because I've thought about this a bunch, right? How do you make an economy function when you got people like adventurers, when you have super wealthy, when you have magic items, and the thing that I kept coming back to is different economies gonna load. It should. Here we go. The thing that I kept coming back to was, okay, let's see. We're gonna close that. Here we go. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second while I make this bigger for y'all. Oh wait, I can just, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. Come on. Make it bigger. Just taking its sweet old time getting bigger, huh? Yep, all right. And we're gonna scroll over in a second. Okay. Scrolling down past this, right? Formulas and math, We'll come back to that. Okay. Okay, economy breakdown. So yeah, this just has Latin filler text in it because I didn't actually write it out yet, but here's how I broke it down, right? Economy 1, wretched, squalid, poor, modest, comfortable lifestyles, right? And then part of the things that would get included in that around the prices would be armor, padded leather, studded leather, shield, weapons, anything that is a martial weapon, or anything that is a simple weapon. And then economy 2, wealthy aristocratic lifestyle, which would get armor, which would get the medium and heavy armors, and then all of the, man, what's the word I'm looking for? All of the martial weapons. And the third one was the economy around the adventurers, right? Because all three of like these wealthy, aristocratic, squalid, wretched, poor, comfortable, modest, adventurer, they function in very different places. And I think that, like, so if you go into a general store, I think that the base prices for things is going to be like, oh yeah, these are for your everyday people that are coming in, travelers and whatnot, that are living within this. And so these are the prices that we can actually sell them at, right? Because it's just a general store. Now, if you went to a general store that was about more high-end things, that was aimed towards the wealthy, aristocratic, and the adventurers, those prices would be very fucking high, or kind of thing. So 3 different economies, right? But back to prep, and then we're gonna reset this. Reset. Okay, so yeah, so 3 different economies. The one we're currently working on is the one that has the wretched, squalid, poor, modest, and comfortable. You know what? You know what, Ben? Tell your mom that I said fuck. I'll say it some more. But yeah, so these 4 options are specifically for people within that lifestyle, which the adventurers can come from any of those lifestyles, but once they get into adventuring, they come out of it, right? But okay, so the options we have here, let me make this bigger for me so I'm not squinting at my own screen. Get some water. Okay, so while that's doing its thing, we have 4 options, right? Option 1, 1 pound of wheat bread and 4 liters of water, which equals 9 copper pieces. Now, like we said, the general conceit is that your average person needs to eat 1 pound of food a day and drink 4 liters of water. And this is the options that people can be eating every single day. But just bread and water, probably not great. So then we have option 2, which is half a pound of wheat bread, half a pound of cheese, and 4 liters of water, which brings it up to 13 copper pieces. And then we have option 3, which is half a pound of wheat bread, half a pound of cheese. Half a pound of wheat bread, 1/4. Do you re-enter the normie people economy between adventures? Like, are you working to improve your standard of living while off adventure? I think the answer to that question is it depends on how well you're adventuring, right? So I'm making some base assumptions here about like how much, and when I, it really depends, right? And actually, y'all, hold on. I totally fucked up the math on one of these. So let's fix that. It's actually 1/4 pound. Okay. But to answer your question, I think it really, it's gonna depend on how well your adventuring goes. I think once we figure out this economy that the bulk of society is going to be in, we'll have like, and we are going to have to say, like, the section, actually, here's what I'm thinking for this, right? When it's all said and done, the lifestyle tables we have right here is going to translate over. Like, we'll be able to put like, hey, here, like we'll be able to update it and whatnot. And it'll have it'll have two new things on it, right? Because I think there should be a nobility under aristocratic, because, you know, like literal nobility or royalty maybe. And then you have adventurer, and there is a specific amount you have to make within that. And if you make outside of that, a whole chicken is not 2 copper. 1 pound of, I mean, let's see. Does it say a whole chicken is 2 copper? One pound of chicken meat. 1 pound of chicken meat. Wait. Are you saying a whole pound? Are you saying 1 chicken is 2 copper from somewhere else? Or from this? Trade goods. Okay. Yes. Okay. I am ignoring all of that. I am ignoring it so much. All of it's being ignored. all of the like trade good and stuff prices, completely ignoring it. Totally and 100% ignoring that bitch. But yeah, so Callum, if you've made enough money to stay within the adventuring lifestyle, then you stay in the adventuring lifestyle. But if you didn't make enough money, you would, you know, be dropping down into whatever lifestyle you could actually afford. But yeah, I messed up this math, so give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, so it's gonna be 1/4 a pound of pork for option 3, which means, oh wait, that's right. Okay, so 1/4 a pound of pork, which makes it 20 copper, 5, 10, 15, which makes it five copper pieces, right? Because a pound of pork is 2 silver pieces. Okay, so 1/2 pound of bread, 1/2 pound of wheat bread is 4 copper. 1/4 pound of cheese is gonna be another 4 copper, so 8 plus the 5 makes it 13, plus the water makes it 14. Okay, so this should actually be 14 copper. Okay, so option 3 is 1/2 a pound of wheat bread, 1/4 a pound of cheese, 1/4 a pound of pork, and 4 liters of water, which is 14 copper. 8. Yeah, which is because there's approximately 4 liters of water to a gallon, and 2 gallons of water is 2 copper pieces. Well, actually, is that right? 1 gallon of water. Y'all, I don't know my math. 1 gallon of water is 2 copper pieces. So actually, all of these parts need to go up by 1. So that's 10. That's 14. That's 15. And that is 13. Okay, and then option 4. So as the options go down, we're adding more to our meals, right? Like, first off, we just start with bread and water, and then we get some bread, some cheese, and then we get some bread, some cheese, and some meat. And then the final one, it's 1/4 a pound of wheat bread, 1/4 a pound of cheese. It was originally going to be 1/4 a pound of pork, but it's actually 8 eggs, and then it's 1/4 a pound of greens and 4 liters of water, which equals 13 copper. Now, the reason I moved it from pork to eggs, pork and chicken are the cheapest types of meat under this, right? They're both, actually, pork is 2 silver, and yeah, pork and 1 pound of pork and 1 pound of chicken are both 2 silver here, right? And so when I was this is just how I know I have ADHD, because I can't even explain what went through my mind thinking that you can't do 1/4 of pork because 1 pound of pork equals 2 silver. You can do 1/4 of fucking pork. It would be 4 fucking silver. No, it'd be 5 silver. Okay. Oh man. Okay. Well, let's see. 13 copper, 8. But let's say you couldn't do 1/4 a pound of pork because the 2 silver was actually 2 copper, and we're not making a coin below copper because it defeats the purpose here. The plan was to say 1 dozen eggs cost 6 silver pieces, so 0.5 copper pieces per egg, or 1 copper for. Bruh. I'm an idiot. Oh, no. 1 dozen eggs is 6 copper. That's what it was. It's not 6 silver. I was like, that doesn't work. Okay, so it's 6 copper pieces. So that math is right? And so because 1 dozen eggs is 6 copper, that means that each egg is 0.5 copper pieces, and there's no way for you to pay 0.5. So at most, they'll sell you 2 eggs. Like they'll sell you 2 eggs at a time, right? And so, so for every 2 eggs, it's 1 copper piece. So actually I'm saying you need 8 eggs to equal 1/4 a pound of meat. Just for simplicity, I just decided to say that. That's not actually a factual thing or whatever, but it's just to make things work, right? And so if you do 8 eggs, because eggs are a source of protein, if you do 8 eggs instead, listen. This is the bare minimum. Ben says this hypothetical person white because there are no spices listed. This is the bare minimum. All right, just existing kind of thing, right? We need a bare minimum of things. There are, but you know what? You're right. We should give them. Actually, bare minimum. I'm gonna say it. Bare minimum thing, can't afford their spices, unfortunately. Just can't afford it. Like the things that they probably could afford is like the black pepper, the sea salt, and the only other spice that's on here that's got a price right now is saffron, which is like maybe a little bit expensive. For like 1/10 of a pound is 25 copper pieces, right? But okay. So if somebody wanted to say, all right, I'm going to substitute my meat for 8 eggs, in the end, that would cost them 13 copper pieces. 8 eggs for 1/4 a pound of meat is 1 copper piece cheaper than 1/4 of a pound of meat. So people could actually probably substitute all of that out. But let's say people are eating meat here, right? But so in option 4, you have 1/4 a pound of wheat bread, 1/4 a pound of cheese, 8 eggs, and 1/4 a pound of greens, and 4 liters, which equals 13 copper pieces. So from the 4 options of what people could eat, bare minimum, base, and like the price ranges from, to be fair, we'll say 9 copper pieces to 13 copper pieces, right? Because the 9 copper pieces, no, from 10 copper pieces to 13 copper pieces. And all of the prices that have meat in them could drop by 1 copper if you substitute meat out with eggs. And so, like I said, okay. So, not sure what standard of living this is. I think it's, let's go back and see. Okay. A lifestyle going without the comforts available in a stable community, simple food and lodgings, threadbare clothing. Okay, let's say that the thing that we're working on right now is a poor lifestyle, right? Simple food and lodgings, right? Simple as in you don't get your spices. So poor lifestyle. So poor lifestyle, just the food right now. So people that just eat veggies, would you need to calculate veggie prices for no meat eaters, or do we just assume the equivalent? Not even the Spice Girls, correct, Ben? So let's take a look at because we do have some vegetables in here, right? So you have yellow corn, you have onions, you have tomatoes, and you have greens, right? And 1 pound of wheat. Let's look at the meat real quick. 2 silver. Okay, so the greens, the tomatoes, the onions, and the corn, all of the vegetables that we have listed here are all cheaper than the cheapest meat. So a pound of pork and a pound of chicken. And so we don't have to like, when this is all said and done, like when I finish it up and make it, I'll be like, hey, here are the various options that people here, if you want to say people eat this frequently or this or that, I'll have it in there plus the price. But still bare minimum, because our bare minimum price is 1 pound of our bare minimum meal. Like our first one is 1 pound of wheat bread and 4 liters of water. It's still 10 copper pieces for the minimum. And then the maximum would still be 13 copper pieces because, well, actually the maximum would be 14 copper pieces because of the, because if you added meat in there, but the actual, the cost of not eating any meat and just having veggies would fall within that range. So you don't have to recalculate. So at the end of the day, when I clean this up and like, hey, I did this, here you go, have fun with it. The options will be in there, but just for this range, if you substitute all meat with veggies, it's cheaper and it's still within that range. So a poor lifestyle is 10 copper pieces to 14 copper pieces. Right off the bat. Okay, so poor lifestyles also include individuals. Yeah. And so a poor lifestyle would be unskilled laborers, right? Because it's explicitly called out in the text. People at this lifestyle tend to be unskilled laborers, costermongers, peddlers, thieves, mercenaries, and other disreputable types. So right now we're at 10 copper pieces and 10 to 14 copper pieces, right? And a poor lifestyle is 2 silver pieces per day. And unskilled, untrained hirelings also get 2 silver pieces per day. So what we just have right in here still fits within the 2 silver piece kind of thing. Now, here's the thing. So right now we're at max 14 copper pieces, which leaves us with 6 copper pieces left for any lodging and boarding that might come with that. And that's still like a bit of a problem, right? Because, well, one of the things that I'm thinking about here is, so there, actually, I'm gonna change the screen real quick so you can see it. Econ reference. So way back when I started doing this, I found this Reddit thread, right? Which was Commoner Life and Economy. It'll load up in a second. And VJ, to maintain weight, a moderately active 180-pound male needs to consume 2,654 calories per day, or just shy of 2 pounds of bread. Okay, so you need 2 pounds of, oh God, this makes this so much more expensive, right? Okay. All right, okay. Let's re-update this then. So the average person needs to eat 2 pounds of, we'll say 2 pounds of food per day, right? We'll get back to that in fixing the numbers. You think my bread costs are off? You know what? We're gonna come back to that statement in a second. So when I was starting off here, I found this, which was 5e Commoner Life and Economy, right? And this person broke this down based on the like different like social statuses. So there's poor, modest, et cetera, right? And it broke down. Okay, so it broke down how much they make per month. And this is like assuming, 30 days, etc., how much they make per month, how much their lifestyle cost was, and how much profit they brought home, right? And with this original model, they don't ever bring any profit home. None of the lifestyles do, like, ever. Now, the question to ask myself is, if you're the thing to ask is that the point? Do we say that all of the lifestyles bring back something? Or do we say, hey, if you're in a poor or lower lifestyle, you can't save up any money, and so that's just where we're at right now, right? Because as I was writing this and thinking about it, I was like, okay, so right now we're at before I was told it's 2 pounds of food a day and drink. It's 2 pounds of food a day, right? When we were at 1 pound, we were at 10 copper pieces, which would leave you with 1 additional silver piece, or 14 copper pieces, which would just leave you with 6 copper pieces for any lodging you might have. And even with that, unless you got really lucky, unless you did the 10 copper pieces and you did if you did the 10 copper pieces and you had that 1 silver, and you got lucky and you could find somewhere that falls in your lifestyle for 5 copper, you weren't saving up any money ever, right? But yeah, so like, as I'm making this, and as anybody else who's out there doing this, think to yourself, how realistic do you want this to be? Are we saying the poor, are we saying anything below poor aren't actually turning any profits, aren't saving any money? Are we saying they're saving they are saving money, but it's very, very little, and it's definitely not enough to get them out of poverty? What is the idea here? And again, the reason, I want to reiterate, the point of doing any of this, once you're all said and done, is to make an economy in which you can tell stories in. Like, one of the examples I gave in the season 1 of VJ Talk season 1, episode 10, wow, economics in D&D was, oh, hey, the players have come back with a shit ton of money. They flooded the market. And now little Timmy is like, I'm going to get revenge on you because all of this money went to my dad's head and he drank himself into a stupor or something like that. Like, you always got to whenever you're doing the economy, you got to make it about the people after you get the math out the way. Now, that being said, someone has just said to me that, they think my math is off for my bread. So let us actually check that math, right? Bread. In preparation for the podcast episode, I made Cliff Notes. And so let's go over how we got the price of this, right? And there were some conceits that were made, right? And all of this is, and again, I guess my price can be off, but also can it be off when it's just, do you get what I'm trying to say here? Like, all of this is kind of, my prices can't be off, but let's just go through it to see if I have run into a problem here, or if the person who made this product has run into a problem, right? So let's make this bigger. Let's make this bigger for you in a second, if it'll do it. Oh, come on. Why you gotta be like that, huh? All right, well, while it's taking its sweet time getting bigger. There we go. Okay, and I will move that over for y'all in a second. All right, so let's actually go over where I got my numbers, right? Okay. Bread. So here are some assumptions being made. A year in the fantasy world has 360 days, 12 months, and come on. I need this to be slightly smaller so I can read that. Here we go. 12 months and 30 days each. Seasons are spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Standard D&D world, but some key advancements have happened. Canning, the cotton gin, widespread use of firearms. The widespread use of firearms isn't really relevant to the bread stuff and factory-like processes for certain modes of productions. So 100 pounds of wheat will make 1,500 pounds of grain, which can be planted in one acre, and planting takes up most of the spring and ends in the fall. So just to look at the tables, right? So right now, input 100 pounds of wheat, output you get 1,500 pounds of grain, input 100 pounds of grain, and output you get 70 pounds of flour, right? For the wheat to grain, it's a 1:15 ratio per pound. So 1 pound of wheat gives 15 pounds of grain. And then for the grain to flour, you get a 30% loss, so 10% for the miller and 20% is lost in the milling. And then of course you've got your water requirement to make bread, which is mostly negligible, but we'll say it's 2 copper pieces per 1 gallon. And 1 gallon is 2 copper pieces and can make 4 loaves of bread. A loaf is a pound and has 4 servings. A pound of loaf costs 8 copper. So that's where I got my, like, why do you think my math for my bread is off, right? Based on this information, right, of the wheat to grain, the grain to flour, the cost of a gallon of water, and then if we scroll down, we can find. Okay, so input, right? If you get 1 gallon of water plus 1 pound of flour, you get 4 leaves of bread, which means 0.32 ounces of water and 0.25 pounds of flour equals 1 loaf of bread. Now, if we scroll down a little bit further to get to the actual flour cost of this, cows, irrelevant, pigs, irrelevant. So when we scroll down, we get that 1 pound of flour. Actually, hold on. Where are these numbers? Hold on a second. I think I actually have these numbers in another sheet. Reset. Okay. So right now, 1 pound of white wheat costs 2 copper and 1 pound of brown wheat costs 1 copper. And so the 8 copper for 1 pound of wheat bread is to turn a profit, right? The cost, so if you looked at the smaller cost, for example, right? 1 pound of brown wheat. Okay, because 1 pound of bread is 8 copper, or 40% a day's wage for a loaf of bread. Okay, see, this is why we have to change. This is why we're changing the actual, like, how much these people actually make. Because right now, if we're using these numbers with the standard, like, oh, you make 2 silver pieces per day for untrained labor, it doesn't work. It's really wild. Or you can say, we will leave it at that and just say, like, hey, if you're untrained, you don't make a lot of money. Like, the bulk of your stuff, what you're putting your stuff towards is food and shelter. That's all you really can do, right? So the question, so if we just take it face value, that the prices of these, like, food goods are correct, these standard food goods are, that the standard food goods work against each other, then we have to change everything else or decide, actually, we're going to leave as is and explicitly say, hey, if you're poor and lower, you make shit money. You make nothing. It's hard and life isn't great, right? But so going back to the poor lifestyle, Okay, now okay, but now we actually do need to fix if it's 2 pounds of bread, because we're I'm a big fan of verisimilitude, right? So you can say, hey, you can exist off of 1 pound of food a day, and still be able to work. But let's say, but okay. So a single mom with 2 kids needs 120% a day's wage for everyone to eat a pound of food. Yeah, before we like start changing up any prices, yeah, that is not inaccurate. 4, 8, 12. Yeah, that is not inaccurate at this point. But again, we should probably change these prices, right? I think your supplement is off with the cost of wheat and grain. Okay, let's... Do I want to change this up? Okay, let's, here's my thing. I don't think there's... I think if you're building an economy, as long as you're making sure like your base stuff makes sense when you compare it to each other, there's not really a way to be off about it. So like I said, like if you look at 1 pound of wheat bread versus 1 pound of white bread, like, okay, one's 8 copper, one's 10 copper. Or if you go over and look at the cost of corn to onions kind of thing. Like as long as that part makes consistent sense, you can build from that, right? So let's say that let's just say you only need 1 pound of food, right? How much does 1 pound of wheat cost? 1 pound of wheat is going to cost... Oh, 1 pound of what? 1 pound of brown wheat costs 1 copper, and 1 pound of white wheat costs 2 copper. Actually, hold on a second. Let's scroll up to the prices. We'll just put that on the page for the moment while I look at something. Wheat versus... Are you... Yeah, so like I said, 1 pound of white wheat is 2 copper, and 1 pound of brown wheat is 1 copper. And the white wheat becomes white bread, and the brown wheat becomes brown bread, which is cheaper. Profit margin Okay. Let's go look at the math. Let's look at the math again. See, this is actually why I needed to... This is definitely why I needed to do this on live, because if I was just left to my own devices, I would run with this. I would run with this and either just be going with it or not. Why? Okay, why is it doing that? Hold on. Come on. I would either just be going with it, like blind, unawares, or I would just be going with it unawares. Whereas if I decide to say, yeah, no, this works, I've made an active choice to do so. Okay, so why is this much? All right, so let's see. Oh, I see what I did. I know what I did wrong here, actually. Wait, do I know what I did wrong here? Okay, so oh my God. Okay, sorry, y'all. 1 second. My captioner is acting weird. It won't scroll down. Come on. Are you working? Hello, testing. Why do I keep having to scroll down with you? I just need you to work so that people see it. Come on. All right, y'all, give me 1 second. I'm gonna restart the captioner to see if that fixes its problem. Also, I think that should be a whole chicken is 2 silver, not 1 pound of chicken. Why? Okay, so to look at the... All right, a loaf of bread requires 1.1 pound of grain to be recovered from the miller, who then takes his 10%, and including that is lost in the mills, it requires 1.3 pounds. The average person needs about a pound of food a day. Half, 1/4, even 1/8 of that could be bread. An average farmer plants 10 acres of wheat, getting 15,000 at harvest. Okay, but we haven't decided how we're changing. Okay, the answer is because a pound of chicken is not worth an entire day's wages for 70% of the workforce. Okay, but we haven't decided if we're changing what the average cost for people is the thing, though. Like, at the end of the day, this could be not really expensive if we, like, I feel like an assumption is being made here that we're sticking with the 2 gold pieces per day and the 2 silver pieces per day, which doesn't actually have to be true for the trained and untrained hires, like workers. An average farmer plants 10 acres. Let's see. Okay, farmers come away with 60 pounds of flour for every 100 pounds of wheat harvested. Average price of regular brown flour. Should this be? Okay, so the average price of regular brown flour is 5 copper pieces per pound, and white is 10 copper pieces per pound. But then that... Did I go wrong? I think maybe I went wrong somewhere. That's totally possible, knowing me. Thanks. Have a good time at work. Get some rest when you're done. Bye, Callum. Have fun. Good luck with the economy. Ugh. Okay. Okay, so 1 pound of. All right, so 1 pound of white wheat. This has been grain. Okay, so this white wheat actually should have been flour and not just wheat, right? So let's scroll back up. Math, numbers, I hate you so much. Okay. So this right here. I clearly did something wrong here. So we're going to swap that over to flour. We're going to make that 5. Right? And then we're going to swap that over to flour. We make that 10. Which means if this is following, let's see, 3 is what percent of 5? Thank you, 60%, which means that okay, so the price increases by 60% then. So if the 1 pound of brown flour is 5 copper pieces and the 1 pound of wheat bread is 8 copper pieces, there's a 60% profit, which means the 1 pound of white flour being 10 means that the 1 pound of white bread is 6, is like goes up to 16 copper, which white bread being 16 copper, I'm not super worried about because it calls it out in the price of bread. Like, oh, this is a luxury item. This is for people that have like more disposable income, right? Do you think the supplement is wrong because comparing it to the current prices, it's ridiculous the cost. Like the lifestyle cost, like the amount it is compared to the cost. So right now, an untrained laborer for just 1 pound of bread. But what's it wrong against? Like, if D&D 5e had said, "Hey, these are the cost of all of these foods to begin with," would that be and had made the price and had made like the lifestyle prices based off of that? Would that be wrong, or would that just be where they're building it from? Okay. Okay. If I'm operating under the assumption that the cost of the trade, that we start with the standard food goods and these costs work around each other, and then we build out from there. And if I go down here to the general conceits and I decide that the average person, and I see, I don't think that, I don't know why, but it feels like, okay, so Ben just said, I mean, according to the PHB, a load of bread is 2 copper, a whole chicken is 2 copper, a mug of ale is 4 copper, and 2 hunks of cheese is 2 copper, which makes sense with respect to each other. I don't think a whole chicken makes sense as 2 copper when a loaf of bread is 2 copper. Like, I don't think that actually makes sense compared to each other, like, at all. And okay, you know what? Let's pull up these prices. Let's pull up these PHB prices. Trade. Okay, so I think part of the problem is that this supplement is making assumptions that there are factory-like processes for certain modes of production. So there some key advancements have actually happened. Maybe is that what it is? Bread wasn't mass produced. I mean, even no, it's not even that it's not even the bread being mass produced. Here's my thing is a chicken, like within the supplement, how much does it actually cost to buy a whole chicken, right? Because we do chickens, right? So according to this, right? An average chicken weighs 4 pounds and produces 3 pounds of meat, roughly. A chicken will sell for 5 silver pieces to the butcher. The meat will be sold for 2 silver pieces per pound and making only 1 silver piece profit. Chicken. I think part of the issue of the prices in the PHB is if you try to break them down to figure out if people are making profits from this, it doesn't actually make sense either. Like, if you think about how much the chicken's gonna sell for. Why is 5 silver ridiculous for a chicken though? That's actually not probably not how much it actually costs to buy a chicken though. It's how much you can sell the chicken to the butcher. So extrapolating from that, it's probably cheaper than that. Okay, let's get with the standard 5e cost. Is anybody actually making money from selling chickens? Is anybody making a profit, or is the argument that a chicken costs 1 copper piece and therefore if you buy a chicken for 2, you're getting a 1 copper piece profit? I don't think it makes sense that a chicken costs 1 copper piece. Or are we saying there's never any profits? People are just like, hey, it cost me 2 copper, here's 2 copper back. Like, I don't think that makes sense. Trade goods 5e. Let's pull that up. I know that chickens cost 2 copper pieces, but with those 2 copper pieces, is that a profit that somebody is turning? So does the chicken then cost 1 copper piece, and so you're getting 1 copper piece back? Or are we saying, hey, you buy it for 2 copper, that's how much it costs me to get it, and no one is making a profit ever? That makes no, a chicken 1 copper piece? That just doesn't make any, that just doesn't feel like it's right to me. A chicken costs 1 copper piece? Probably a chicken takes less than 7 weeks to mature. £1 of flour or 1 chicken is 2 copper pieces. Okay, it's probably closer to 1.5 copper pieces to raise a chicken, and you make the profit on multiple chickens. You know what, Ben? The next time we have the D&D, when we have part 2 of D&D economics, and I've finished this to toss at y'all, you're coming on. Like that's not a request. That's you're being voluntold. All right. Okay. Until that time comes, I'm going to operate under the assumption that all of these prices work with each other. And we're going to build out how much somebody should be making per day to... First question, if you're poor, are you able to save money? If you're a poor lifestyle, are you able to save money? I think given the fact that the bulk of people are living paycheck to paycheck, that's what poor is, living paycheck to paycheck. So the answer is probably no. It shouldn't be worth that much, though. That's the problem. I hate that suit of fucking armor. That's getting changed too. That is plate mail is not staying 1,500 gold pieces. Like I hate it so much. I hate it so much. It bothers me to no end. I'm even willing to say maybe 400 max. Like max 400. And maybe not even, or honestly, okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right. So I'm an hour and a half into this, and we oh, this is fun. Okay. Let's operating under the assumption that all those trade good prices are correct, right? We are going to bump this up so that there's 2 pounds of food a day, right? Because I am yeah, let's just bump it up to 2 pounds of food per day, right? Let's fix these numbers real quick. And then we're going to talk about how much people should be making per day. Okay. All right. Okay. So if it's 2 pounds of wheat bread plus 4 liters, that is going to be Jesus. That bumps it up to 17 copper pieces. If it's 1 pound of wheat bread, let's see. Here we go. Okay. So if this is one, what is happening? Streamlabs, behave. Come on, I would like to be able to look at the camera while I'm doing this. All right. Okay, so 2 pounds of wheat bread and 4 liters of water bumps it up to 17 gold pieces. Right? And then if we do 1 pound of wheat bread and 1 pound of cheese, 8. That bumps it up to 24 copper. Jesus fucking Christ. So it said that an acre is going to, how much wheat did it say an acre yields? £100 of wheat can be planted on 1 acre, which will yield 1,500 pounds of grain. But okay. Oh, that's why I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. Okay. All right. So if it's 1 pound of wheat and 1 pound of bread, it becomes 24 copper pieces. An acre can yield a little less than a ton of wheat in a season. Isn't a ton 2,000 pounds? An acre can yield a little less than a ton of wheat in a season. And a farmer you can assume has 40 acres typically, since that is 40 days of plowing with a horse. I don't think we're making I don't think it makes an assumption about how many acres anybody has. It just says, hey, this is how much you can put on an acre. And is that little bit is that under a ton? Is that an acre can yield a little less than a ton of wheat in a season for like us right now, modern times and stuff? $1,800 to 2,000 pounds is the typical wheat yields in the 1800s. Where did this motherfucker get 100 pounds then? Okay. All right. Okay, so which means that the 100 pounds of wheat input to 1,500 pounds of grain actually makes it, if it's a 1 to 15, let's say it's 1,800, right? That means that assuming it's the 1 to 15 ratio. Actually, let's not assume that. Let's just look it up. In the 1800s, how much flour? One pound of wheat. How much flour does a bushel of wheat make? One bushel of wheat yields approximately 60 pounds of whole wheat flour. How much is a bushel of wheat? Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Thanks for joining. I am struggling more than I thought I would be to make this fucking economy work. My lovely friend Ben, Basic Human Kindness, has been telling me I'm wrong this whole time, and they're not wrong. I think I have been wrong. To let you know what's going on, I bought this thing called The Price of Bread off of the DMs Guild, and for somebody who hates math and is really bad, I was like, okay, this is interesting. This looks like I can make it work. The cost of a pound of wheat bread is 8 copper. Before we started fucking around with the math, like poor lifestyles just to feed themselves, and when we said it was 1 pound was 10 copper to 14 copper, which means that on the lower end of things, the person would have 1 silver piece left over for lodging, and then on the higher end of things, they would only have 6 copper pieces left over. And so now I'm looking some things up. How much does a... Oh, right. You would still be working. You're 3 hours behind me. God, every time you say that, I'm like, it's 8 o'clock. I don't think this system is assuming there's only 5 working days. How much does a bushel of wheat weigh? Well, I hope you get off soon. And you get to chill. Okay, so a bushel of wheat weighs 60 pounds, but a bushel of wheat is also supposed to... I'm going to do it, all right? I want to do this, and it's going to fucking happen. Okay. So, according to what I just found, a bushel of wheat weighs 60 pounds. However, 1 bushel of wheat also yields approximately 60 pounds of flour. So that means for every 1 pound of wheat, it is 6 pounds of flour, which means this 1 to 15 ratio is wrong, and it should be a 1 to 6 ratio. However, the idea. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. You know what? We are making yep. This is what we're about to do. We're restarting. I'm restarting this. All right. We're starting technically from scratch, but not quite. Right. So we're gonna compare and contrast the things that we've got here with. Oh, man. I think I'm gonna be on for another hour trying to get this fucking figured out. Okay. So, waiting for this to load because I don't want to get rid of that other math because at some point I could probably go in and just retool some things. But all right. So, why is it 3-2? Okay. I have to work. I work Friday evenings. Okay, but where did you get 60 pounds of wheat yields 40 pounds of flour? Yeah, I unfortunately work Friday. However, I am going to pop into whatever theater is near me. Okay, but I'm looking at something that's saying 1 bushel of wheat yields approximately 60 pounds of whole wheat flour. Okay. Okay, let's scroll up. Okay, so 1 acre. And let's make this bigger. All right, 1 acre yields, let's say 1,800 pounds of wheat. One bushel of wheat. Why is it doing that? Oh, come on. What Nightbot setting isn't allowing fucking links? Ugh, Jesus Christ. Ben, just shoot it to me on Discord. I gotta fix that. Let me make a note of that. Fine. Links are fine. Right? Not bot yours. Sarah, exactly. I feel like the cost and economy in D&D is weird and skewed a lot because people are trying to develop it in relation to the adventure and not to the economy of a commoner, so everything is really expensive. I agree. Earlier I said, hey, there should be 3 things, there should be 3 parts of an economy. The first one is the standard one, and it should go for anybody that is in a what was it? Hold on. Let me pull, like, it should be so 3 parts to an economy, right? The base one is it includes people that are in the wretched, squalid, poor, modest, and comfortable lifestyle. And then the second part of it should include people that are wealthy and aristocratic. And the third one should be around adventurers because those 3 groups have wildly different things going on with them. If you just base it on the adventurers, no one is ever surviving. But okay. 1 bushel of wheat equals 60 pounds. equals 60 pounds of wheat. You're very much not wrong there. At least all the, yeah, you're very much horrifying realization. Adventurers are the fantasy 1%. Worse, they are the 0.01%. God, that's hilarious. Okay, 1 bushel of wheat equals 60 pounds of wheat. Ben, did you? 1 second, folks. New unreads. All right. What does a bushel of wheat mean to me? One bushel of wheat will yield approximately 42 pounds of white flour. Okay, so it's okay. All right. Ratio is 3 to 2. Okay, like I said, I hate math and I hate numbers. So what? To get, what would I multiply the 1800 by to get that 3 to 2 ratio? Okay, I also think that maybe multiply 60 over 42 to get what I need to multiply the 1800 against the 1800. Ben also said 42 over 60. A level 10 adventurer can... Listen, you're amazing. You're helping me so much. A level 10 adventurer can expect to have approximately 25k gold worth of stuff. That is worth 800 ounces of gold or $16 million. I also think the amount that like players are supposed to get at various levels might need to shift, but that's for a much later time. But okay. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do 42 divided by 60 equals 0.7. Okay. And so then we do 800 times 0.7, which gives us 1,260. Okay. Which is 70%. Oh shit. Hey Raiders. Hey Took, thanks for joining us. We're trying to make a functioning economy. Hi Took. Thanks. But yeah, we're trying to make a functioning economy, and I'm going to be so fucking for real with you. It is going poorly. I had a plan laid out, and then my friend here, Basic Human Kindness. It's like 1,000 gold max. Yeah, you might need to talk to Alex about that. You might need some more money there, Sarah. But yeah, we're trying to make a functioning economy, and I had a plan using the price of bread over on the DMs Guild, but my good friend Basic Human Kindness here has been telling me all of that is wrong, rightfully so. And so now we're starting from scratch. We are starting from mostly scratch, right? So right now what we've got is that 1 acre can yield 18,000 pounds of wheat. Like that is a yield that was actually put out in like the 1800s, according to the information Ben gave me. And then 1 bushel of wheat equals 60 pounds of wheat. That's not really, I mean, that is relevant, but like it's, and then the ratio for like wheat to flour is 3 to 2. So 70% of, Jesus fucking Christ. 1,000 gold is 20 pounds of gold, 322 ounces, or $600,000. Jesus Christ. But so right now, if they get 1,800 pounds of wheat, 1,800 pounds of wheat, it yields. Oh man, fuck me. I just had that math. 1,260 pounds of flour. 1,260. Okay, wait a fucking minute. That means a suit plate is worth roughly $1 million. See, 5E's economy makes no fucking sense. Nothing makes sense. And listen, I think the conversion rate has got to be different. Like gold seems more ubiquitous in D&D. Yeah. I just want to be clear here. I didn't expect Wizards of the Coast to like bring in economists on to like make the economy functioning, but I would like some consistency, right? And for those of you that are just joining, the thing that like even when we're done with all the numbers here, the thing, if you're going to make a functioning economy in your world, the thing that you need to focus it around is people. So I'm having a great time in making all of these numbers and whatnot, but at the end of the day, when like what I want to do is make this whole thing, put it out for free, obviously, because I'm using a bunch of resources from different people, obviously crediting them like, hey, this helped, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not my thing to sell. And then also be like, so here's how the math works out, and here are the adventure hooks from this, because it should be about adventure hooks and like the ways you can have your players interact with it, how they could smuggle things and change prices, how war would affect that, how like a lack of silver and a lack of iron or whatever in your country is going to raise the prices by 15% or some fucking shit, that kind of thing. And how the players might be contacted to adjust and fix that. Like, the numbers are fun and fine just to make sure everything fucking works and you can tell your players something consistent when they go and buy shit. But at the end of the day, you gotta make it about the people and adventures. And Basic Human Kindness has said, I think there should be 100 copper and a silver and 100 silver and a gold. Oh, God. You say that, and then okay, but here's the thing. Actually, I don't have a good response. Like, I hate math. I hate math so much. Getting back to this, more math. 1,800 pounds of wheat, it yields 1,260 pounds of flour. Okay, so if we're still using my notes from the price of bread, right? And just saying fuck it to what they're saying. No. 1,800 pounds of wheat yields 1,200 pounds of grain, not flour, because the grain still has to be milled, right? And then for every 100 pounds of grain you have, 100 pounds of grain yields 70 flour, because you lose like 20% of it to milling, and then 10% the miller takes. So fucking math. Oh, right. Duh. Easy. All I gotta do is 1260 times 0.3. 378 minus 78. I think, y'all, when I say 882, okay. It was 800 and equals 882 pounds of flour. Okay, so if you lose 30%, right? Tell me if this math is so fucking wrong. What I did was times 1,260 by 0.3 and then subtracted that number from that to get the 70% that you would get out of that. And I think that's right. So it makes it 882 pounds of flour, which, okay. And how much do fish nets cost? I mean, both the stockings and the nets for catching fish. Is fish even mentioned in this? So, I mean, how much do the trade goods for 5e say? Like, what is the cost of a fishing net for 5e? Because the supplements mention bread, cows, beef, pigs, chickens, market, vegetables, the onion, fruit, salt, sugar and spice, camels and caravans, ships and supplies, uh, dirigibles and demand, and keeping it fresh. You know what? Excuse me. That is a very big. Actually, hold on. Let me check these notes. Come on. Oh, man, in preparation for this, I should have looked this over a little bit better because there are more things on here. But it doesn't matter because we're probably going to have to fix all of this, right? All right, let's talk about fish. We'll assume a good fishing area for the following. Fish is 1 silver pieces at the source. Okay, so here's how many pounds of grain does it yield? What's the difference? I hate it here. I hate it here so much. Uh I don't know. All right. Okay. Okay. Wait, wait. Uh Hold on a second. Um is the 1,260 pounds of flour information coming from the link you sent me? Okay. Hold on a second. All right. The questions to. Okay, you know what? We're just going to look this up right here. In the 1800s. Hey, welcome. If the comments that Ben has just left says anything, it's been going. Um, I'm very open about the fact that I'm bad at math. But there's been an itch on my brain for so long. All I want is an economy that works, and I think I'm gonna have to scrap everything. Well, everything, because the only thing I had right now were these prices, which were based off of the product that I bought, which didn't cost a lot. It was like $1.50 per thing, whatever. And so right now we're trying to get the base price right for like wheat and bread because that's how everything else is built out. And so if we get that right, then I can just change the numbers for all of the other things based off of bread being correct. So it's not So it's not the end of the world. The stream is going the way I needed it to. I wanted to do this around other people so I could get input and advice. So it's not bad. I'm not I'm frustrated, but not in like I'm frustrated with basic human kindness for correcting me. I'm like trying to figure out what was this person thinking that I bought this from, and like I'm just like it's that is frustrating me. But it's not bad. And yeah, hey, welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. And yeah, you have caught one, and we're gonna be here for like another 37 minutes or so. Whew. I guess so. In the price of bread, this person is making the assumption that you have to turn wheat becomes grain. The person is making the assumption that wheat becomes grain and then grain becomes flour. Is that incorrect? Okay. So 40, so is the grain the part of the plant that would go into the mill? Okay. So then I need to know to try and extrapolate from what we're doing here. It's commonly called threshing the grain. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you. So you're telling me that 1,800 pounds of wheat yields 1,260 pounds of flour. I need to know how many pounds of wheat, how much grain the wheat turns into. Although I guess, let's try some more fucking math, I guess. All right, so this supplement is saying 100 pounds of wheat will make 1,500 pounds of grain, and 1,500 pounds of grain will make 1,050 pounds of bread. Oh, wait. Yeah. Hey, same. Hi, y'all. And for anybody who's joining us and doesn't know, my pronouns are he, him, and they, them. Please feel free to use them interchangeably. Let's see. Oh, Sarah, I hate that for you. You know what? In the 1800s, how much grain did 1 pound of wheat yield? Let's just get that right off the bat. Okay. Man. All right. Let's try to just reverse engineer the math. All right. Okay, but wait. I need to know. I need to know the like. Okay, so the yield from just the wheat on the farm, assuming the price of one pound per 1 copper. is 500 gold pieces per year. This is a reasonable starting point. Um, oh, right. It would be, yeah, 500 gold pieces because, yeah, 100 wait. So for the detail is important for me so that I can wrap my mind around how to do this. How to the thing I want here is I need all of the detail so that I can understand what's happening. The point isn't to like put all this thing together and to like say, "Hey, here's all this." If I'm gonna be able to do this the way my brain functions, I need to I gotta follow something. And while I'm agreeing with basic human kindness, I'm agreeing with Ben that like the pricing and the pounds of wheat and stuff that they're doing on this is wrong. I think the like percentages they're doing against stuff might make sense. And so to make sure that I can follow that, I need to know how much I need to know how much wheat, how much grain is yielded from the wheat. So then I can follow the thing of how much wheat, how much grain turns into flour. Uh, but also, I know 5e doesn't have any was written with this detail of historical accuracy. It just bothers me so much. It bothers me whenever whenever my players are like, "Hey, can I purchase a magic item?" I want to say yes, and I do have them do that. And I've gotten like the amount of things that I have bought either on like PDFs, hardcover books that like pricing, blah blah blah. I think we should start with the middle class economy. So I put the a rule of thumb I use is that the output of 1 acre of the farmland is enough to feed one adult human. One adult human for the whole year. Also, I think we should start with the middle class economy, which is this farm. Here's the thing. I said there were 3 economies. The first one includes anything below. So comfortable and below is one economy. And then and then wealthy and aristocratic is another. And then adventurers is another. So, I mean, actually, what lifestyle, hold on. If we go back over here, if we go back to economy notes, that's what I want. That's what I want because I think that the problem people run into, and Sarah mentioned it earlier as well, is that the economy is very much based around adventurers, and that doesn't make sense because the bulk of them are not fucking adventurers, right? The bulk of the world are in that like comfortable and below, and then a part of the world is in the wealthy and aristocratic, and then an even smaller, infinitesimally smaller section is adventurers. And so having everything be built around them, I understand why Woods of the Coast did it, but I think it's bad. Um okay. So modest comfortable should be one economy, 70%. Poor and squalid, 29% should be another 1% wealthy and aristocratic. Poor, squalid. Poor, squalid, and wretched. Gotcha. It is my personal opinion that the viewpoint of a game does not reflect a realistic world because the goal is to permit erratic narrative. Things revolve around the PC because they are the hero story. I think maybe the fix could be totally throwing out what D&D say about commoners. It feels baseless. Say the line, Sarah. Personal opinion, not opinion of my company. I'm going to look up how much plate mail costs. Who knows? Say the line, Sarah. Yeah. I did a podcast episode with an economics professor, and I was very clear, like, listen, there's no way, you can't really make a functioning economy in a TTRPG like this. Like, if you try to make one off the world, it's not going to work. But making one that works to the point of verisimilitude, that's what I want. That's what I want. And to the point where, like, if I want to actually run an adventure that is centered around the economy, I don't have to pull shit out of my ass and then down the line, if somebody is trying to make sense of it, they're like, hey, you said this, but this happened here. Like, I want to just be able to have, like, the system, like, okay, this is how this works. There's a war. It fucks everything up. Here's how it changes things. And it makes sense because the system has been created and laid out and makes internal sense. I still agree that, like, what am I saying here? I think that the way D&D Wizards of the Coast should have done, like, the economy and stuff, if they were going to do it, was very much like make it make sense for your everyday commoners and stuff, and then still focus the story around what the adventurers do in that economy. Like, if the adventurers go and kill a dragon and come back to a small town with 300,000 gold pieces or some fuckery, you know? That changes the world. So what you need is a system of stats and modifiers that you can adjust based on the events in the game. Yes, and okay. I don't need to make that per se because my friend who was on that podcast, Aaron, hold on, econ test? Is it edible econ test? Okay, yeah, this is what we're going to pull up real quick. So I said that I was going to bring them back on the podcast to talk about this after I'd, like, worked out my own version so we could talk about it. And if they had any suggestions, if they, you know, that kind of thing. I also told Basic Human Kindness that they had to come on that second part of the episode because, you know, all of this. But okay. So my friend Aaron sent this over to me, and pretty much what it has on here is, so it has all of the base prices, right? And then over to the side, it has, come on, as soon as it loads, it's got economic status, right? And it goes from the regular price to, inflation, extreme inflation, deflation, extreme deflation. There might be ranges within there, right? And so I already have a thing. Hold on. Let me make this smaller for y'all, so you can at least see this. Okay, so I already have once the prices have been adequately figured out, hold on, letting it load. Man, I said I was only going to be here for until 9:30, but I'm so fired up about it. I'm probably going to be here for another hour. I don't have anything to do besides play Stardew Valley. I don't know. We'll see how I feel in 30 minutes. Okay, see, this is what I feel like might be the danger of me streaming later on in the evening. I'm like, do I actually have to stop streaming? Let's just stream for 3 hours. Let's stream for 4. Okay, so here's what we got, right? Okay, before I read that, for this edible econ test that my friend made, it has normal, it goes deflation, then mass deflation, and then extreme deflation, and then it goes inflation, mass inflation, extreme deflation. And so the normal price, and I think that extreme deflation is 50%. And then I do believe mass deflation is 25%. Wait, no. Sorry, mass deflation is negative 50%. And then extreme actually, it's still fucking loading. Okay. Extreme deflation is 50%, is negative 50%. Mass deflation is negative 40%. And regular deflation is, as it loads, negative 15%. So I might question about why it goes 15, 40 to 50. But in general, once the numbers are all there, I'm just going to use this system to be like, okay, how bad is this war? Is it a mass deflation? Is it inflating things? Is it deflating things? And what kind? Okay, and then to get back to talking about how much plate mail costs. All right. So, Sarah, just to read these comments, right? Sarah said, I think maybe the fix could be totally throwing out what D&D says about commoners. It feels baseless. Say the line, Sarah, personal opinion, not opinion of my company. I'm going to look up how much plate mail costs. Who knows? Maybe it'll be helpful. Okay, just looked it up, and it's lower than D&D, but still to get the best armor fully outfitted, it's essentially $32,000 to $65,000. So that's lower than $600K, but still really does point out the disparity between classes in the Middle Ages, which is maybe what they were basing a lot of D&D pricing off. So if plate mail in D&D is $1,500 gold, it does come to around $50 a gold piece, which kind of makes sense. I mean, yeah. I did in the section that, like, where I wrote the different economies, I was thinking that, like, if we treat the economy as fiat with as the base dollar, it would work out to plate costing 110,000 gold pieces. No, dollars, not gold pieces. Wait, silver? Silver as the base dollar. You know what? You say that, and I'm a big fan of the silver standard. Okay. All right. Before we go any fucking further, I think going back to the section where Ben said modest okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 different economies, right? So the standard one, just the kind of is the standard economy, modest and comfortable. Why is that like that? Comfortable. 70% pop. Okay. All right, so actually economy 1. I don't really care if, like, my Jesus fucking Christ, Nightbot. I swear to fucking. Okay. All right. Fucking Nightbot. Okay, I mean, yeah, the economy. Okay. I don't think. Do you think? Okay. The economy can be socialism. Do you think the 5e economy right now is socialism? Because I think it's capitalism. I'm not saying that we can't make it socialism, but if I was going to I want to make this one, as it is fucking work. And then I would love at a later fucking date. Oh my fucking God, this captioning is gonna fucking kill. I would love at a later fucking date to turn it to be like, hey, this is how you change this. Okay, so economy 1 is going to be poor, squalid, sing, wretched. Okay. Yep, just can't spell. Economy 2. We're going to say that's 27% of the population. Well, no. We should say it's actually more than that. The difference between D&D and the real world is D&D really is a meritocracy. We're going to say it's 28% of the pop. Economy. Come on. Okay. Question, do lifestyle categories apply in the case of rural populations? Check out Town Generation at 3.5 or 3.0 Dungeon, a DMG. Do lifestyle or farming villages separate system from city populations? Ooh, that is a really good fucking question. Oh my God. Yep. This is why I'm super happy that I got on the stream. I'm going to be on stream making this work because I wouldn't have thought of any of this. I would have just, went about my day. I think the simplest thing to do is to say the lifestyle differences apply in the case of rural populations. I think, I mean, 5% of the population lives in cities. You could ignore the economic status of anyone who grows their own food and only focus on those who rely on trade. Yeah, I really could do that and not make my life more difficult than it has to be. I really... Why is my brain telling me, let's be difficult? Sometimes I hate it here. Before I answer which one we're going to do for that, let's finish making economy 3. Wealthy, aristocratic. I know for my games, I really like to add a third category in there, which is literal royalty. Like kings and queens and stuff, because I think aristocratic, because all royalty are nobles, but not all nobles are royalty. And when I think nobles, I think aristocratics are definitely nobles, but that doesn't inherently make them royalty. And I think these fuckers have more money, which makes them 1.99% of the population. And then economy 4, adventurers. Bye, Sarah. The problem you run into in this case is that the basic definitions of society in D&D are utter nonsense made up for dressing a fantasy setting. I am the kind of person who likes hard numbers and formulas, but I've learned the hard way that this particular question begins with a mathematical inequality. And if you aren't going to start from scratch, rewriting towns, villages, etc., and social classes in D&D, then you can't get the current setting to work with the logical economy. So, Breck, are you essentially saying that if I'm also not going to go and retool the like poor, squalid, wretched, etc. lifestyles, then this is not going to work? I'm saying decide what your goal is and start there. Royalty and adventurers are the same tier. I mean, are they? Yes, run off to pet, give good pets to the dog as she deserves. I'm saying decide what your goal is and start there. Okay. My goal is, the thing that I want to do is I want to make this standard economy based off the cost of your standard goods and then build out from there, which means that the amount of money you have to make to be in any of these lifestyles is going to have to change. It's going to have to change. The plan here when we first jumped into this was to always was to like make the assumption that the costs of the standard food goods were correct, and then so like you weren't. Let me go back and show you what the original plan was, right? Since you weren't here. For those of you that are watching this all the way through, sorry we're jumping around so much. But okay, so we had these standard food goods, right? Which then Ben pointed out, basic human kindness, that like these weren't great, right? And then so we had to explore where they were coming from. But before that happened, what I was prepping to do was say, okay, here's some basic conceits. You need 1 pound of food a day, and you need to drink 4 liters. The best thing I've read on understanding a medieval economy is Medieval Demographics Made Easy by S. John Ross. It's long, predates 5e, but it might help provide context. I'm going to write that down. Made Easy by S. John Ross. Hell yeah, I'm gonna read that. But yeah, so the plan here was to figure out how much food and board would actually cost based on the information that I had here, and then change the amount of money that a skilled laborer and an untrained laborer would make, so that at the very least, the base tier for each of those would be able to afford that. And like the plan, I was debating on, hey, if they were a poor individual but they were working, did they get to save money, right? I was leaning towards no, since most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, myself fucking included. But yeah, that was the goal there. And so now, because I did this on stream and had input, it's like, this is fucking wildly off. So now we've got to retool things. And let's say, yeah, royalty and adventurers. Royalty and adventurers are economy 4. And then if that's the case, I'm going to actually make them... I mean... If my model is the medieval era, I don't think most people bought their food. So, this is another issue that I really have with 5e. Like, it takes so many things from various places. It's not even like fair to say, oh, this is just the medieval times. Like, is it though? Bye, Ben. This is what I mean by tearing down the assumptions and starting from scratch. 5e relates to our modern assumptions, not medieval history. .05% pop. Colville would hand wave this. What would Colville do? This man wouldn't even. Man, would he even fuck around with this? You know, I think I was in Matt Colville's like Twitch chat at one point and asked a question about economy. What is the fantasy I'm trying to present? What is the fantasy I am trying to present? He would start there with the player experience and how to affect it, which I know how I want to affect it. Do I know exactly how I want to affect it? Yeah, this is a living world where real world where actions have consequences. Yeah, that's what I want. Like, if the players go and dump 500,000 gold pieces somewhere, I want that to have real human consequences that they can later come back and interact with, right? Or if the players go into a city with horrible, like, class inequality, I want them to be able to suss out information about it, figure out what the fuck the person's doing and put a stop to them. And maybe they're interested in like figuring out a plan to fix it, or maybe they're not. But I want that there. But me wanting that, I have some more reading that I need to do, actually. Oh, man. I have some more reading that I need to do before I come back to fucking around with this again. Okay, y'all. So I actually think... I do not actually think I'm going to be here for another 35 minutes. I think I might call... So throw out base prices and the cost of being poor. Create a simple scale for defining an economy's health, like +3 to -3. But see, I really do like the... I don't know what... Well, I know... I have to think about that. I need to go and think about that. It's not a bad idea. Also, I think I think another part of this is that whatever I make, I want to put out into the world for other people to interact with. And part of me is like, how well will people engage in a system that doesn't at least have some of the trappings of things that they recall, like the lifestyles and whatnot. But the main focus is a living world with consequences for your actions, including when you get filthy rich. The secondary part of it is, I know there are other DMs out there that are like me, but who don't have that itch to do this, and I want to give it to them. And I know some of them are only going to take it if it still has the trappings of things they recognize. But okay. In conclusion, this this stream has me going back to the drawing board, which I'm actually, not too sad about, and new readings. Thank you for everybody that stuck around and has been here. Appreciate you, Breck, this entire time. Not breakfast, just Breck. Hopefully I get to see you in the chat again. And for anybody that's still here, I also stream on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. EST. And I will be streaming a solo RPG. Which one? I haven't decided yet. I'm going to go figure that out right now. Thanks for being here. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day, evening, morning. Yep, as simple as to use as possible. It was really good seeing you. Catch y'all later.